the schools of Hindu law. So we have an idea that how schools emerged among Hindu law. So schools emerged because of the different interpretation made to the religious text by the different commentators in different parts of India. Somewhere, some aspects were agreed upon, somewhere it was denied or new aspects were developed. This resulted into schools of Hindu law. So that schools we have to study here. So the schools of Hindu law are broadly two. In syllabus we discussed. The those two schools are Mitakshara school, yes, and Dayabhaga school. So Mitakshara school was propounded by which Naneshwar? He is a name of commentator who developed the Mitakshara school, and it was observed in entire India except Bengal and Assam. And the second school is Dayabhaga, that was written by Jimudwana, and it is prevailed, of course, in the rest part where Mitakshara is not prevailed, that is Bengal and Assam. So these two schools we have to discuss broadly. So of course, first we will see how schools were arose again. So the basic reason for emergence of school is the Hindu scriptures, religious text were not uniformly interpreted by the Hindu scholars, and this gives rise to diverging opinions in the interpretations of particular text. That's what the Colebrook, a European scholar of Hindu law, he highlighted this divergence and branded this divergence as a schools among Hindu law. So the concept of school was not evolved by any Indian author or Indian jurist, but it is evolved by the Colebrook, a European scholar of Hindu law. So the work which was received universally became the subject of subsequent commentaries, and the commentators put their own gloss on the ancient text, and their authority having been received in one part and rejected in the another part of India. And this leads to the two different schools. Now we will go towards what these two different schools are. The first school is Mitakshara. The literal meaning of the word Mitakshara is concise work, that is compilation, or it is a running commentary on the code of Yajnavalkya Smriti. As already stated, the schools emerged because of the commentaries made by the commentator on the Smriti. So Mitakshara school is nothing but the commentary on the Yajnavalkya Smriti. We see it in Smritis, there were several Smritis, Manu Smriti, Narda Smriti, etc. Yajnavalkya is one Smriti among them, and the commentaries on the Yajnavalkya is nothing but the Mitakshara school. So it has been written by an 11th century jurist whose name is Vijnaneshwar, and it prevails in all part of India except in Bengal. So it is considered as orthodox school of Hindu law. Why it is orthodox? That will be known in family law. Second, because it doesn't give a right to daughters, and certain religious aspects were added by this school. That's what this school is called as orthodox in nature. So it is subdivided into four schools prevailing in different parts of India. And these different schools have the same fundamental principles but differ in matters of details, especially with reference to the topics of adoption and inheritance. On other aspects, they are similar. So these four Mitakshara sub-schools are as follows. The first is Banaras school. This prevailed in northern part of India. Second is the Mithila school. This prevailed in Bihar. Third one is Dravida or Madras school, which is prevailing in South India. And the fourth is Bombay or Maharashtra school, which is prevailing in Western India. So Mitakshara school is subdivided and followed in different parts of India. Now we will move towards the second school, that is Dayabhaga. Now it is followed mainly in Bengal and Assam. Secondly, it is not a commentary like Mitakshara on any particular code, but it is digest of all the codes. Rest other Smritis and their commentaries were collected together and is called as a digest, and this digest is called as Dayabhaga, or commentary on this overall digest is called as Dayabhaga school. So it has been written by Jimutwan, this commentary, who lived sometimes in the 12th century. So it was developed later. So it is reformist school of Hindu law. Of course, being it is modern, 1 century ahead. That's what it is considered as reformist school. And it is not divided into any sub-schools. On all those matters on which Dayabhaga school was silent, Mitakshara school will prevail. So please take note of this fact that when Mitakshara school is prevail in Bengal, if somebody asks, when Mitakshara school is prevail in Bengal, because we seen Mitakshara school is applicable to entire India except Bengal and Assam. But in this case, the Mitakshara school can prevailed in Bengal. What is that case? The case is on all those matters on which Dayabhaga school was silent, the Mitakshara school is prevailed. Silent in the sense no specific provision is made to deal with particular aspect. This is called as silence because you will heard this word. This law is silent, this judgment is silent, this custom is silent on particular aspects. Silent means they are not making express provision. They are not talking about particular issue. So similarly, if in Bengal the certain issue has not been dealt with the Daya Bhaga school, the recourse has to be taken to the principles laid down in Mitakshara school. That's what. In certain situations, Mitakshara school can prevail in Bengal, Assam if Daya Bhaga school is silent. So, the Mitakshara and Daya Bhaga school differed majority in respect of succession. So succession is not now the part of our syllabus, it is the part of family law second. So whatever major differences are there between these two schools, these differences are relating to succession. So far as marriage, adoption, maintenance, guardianship, divorce, etc., there were no any differences. However, this branch of law is now codified, that is succession. So this succession bring the law, codified law brings uniformity within two schools. And the law is Hindu Succession Act 1956. Now, except joint family property law, all other aspects of successions are codified and dealt with Hindu Succession Act 1956. So this legislation, for its greater part, the minimized or we can say abolished the differences between these two schools so far as succession is concerned. So the main divergence between the two in matters connected with the joint family system has now been diluted after 2005 amendment into the Hindu Succession Act, that is giving right to the daughters, and this disability was abolished and gender equality was adopted into the succession among Hindus. So these two schools were prevailed in those areas. Of course, now this is the matter of theory only. So far practice is concerned, we are having codified legislations except joint family. Now the question is, if some person residing in the Bengal migrated to the Maharashtra, migrated to the UP or other state wherein the Mitakshara school is prevailed or vice versa. The person from Maharashtra, Hindu family from Maharashtra migrated to Assam, Bengal. What will be the effect of Hindu law on such family? In other words, what is the effect of migration when Hindu family migrates from one area to another area prevailing in the jurisdiction of different schools. So when a Hindu family migrates from one state to another state, the law draws a presumption that it carries with it its personal law, that is, the laws and customs prevailing in the state from which it came. Now, the word presumption is used here. So you might have been come across with the word presumptions earlier. What presumption is? If not, then we will discuss the presumption because this is an important word in the legal study, in the study of law, judicial decisions, etc. You will come across with the presumptions for several times. What presumption is, because here the presumption of law is created in case of migration. There can be presumption of fact, there can be presumption of law, but the question is what presumption is? Comment in chat box. The first comment I invited today on yes, prediction. Prediction is not presumption. Prediction means to predict something that will happen or may not happen. Whether there will be a rain on Monday. This is a prediction. Prediction and presumptions are different. Presumptions are confirmatory. Okay. Yes. Inference, to draw inferences. Yes. Probability near about. Again. Any other presumptions created by law? Fiction presumption is a legal fiction. If this and this is there, then this and this is to be done, or this and this should be there. That is presumed. If the stolen property is recovered from you and you have no account for that, then the yes assumptions, then the law will presume that you are a thief or you possess that property with the knowledge that it is stolen. Now you have to prove otherwise, that this presumption is not attractive. So law attaches certain presumptions. Now come to the effect of migration. Yes, idea taken to be true. So now come to the migration. Here what law attaches presumption is in case of migration. It says if family from Maharashtra migrated to Bengal, this family carries with it its custom and usages, and those custom and usages will be applicable to that particular Maharashtra family, even though they are residing in Bengal. So they have to show that they had migrated, and while migration, the law says that they will dealt with their custom traditions. This is one aspect of the migration, that law attaches a presumption that migrated family carries with it its presumptions. But this presumption can, however, be rebutted by showing that such family has adopted the law and usages of the new state where it had settled down. So one another term you have to study is rebuttal. Those who had participated in moot court competition, they know well what rebuttal is. So there can be a rebuttal of the presumption attached by law. So what rebuttal is? To rebut, presumptions are always rebuttable if they were not conclusive proof. We will see in Indian Evidence Act the kinds of presumptions: irrebuttable, rebuttable. So what is meant by rebut? So Here it was stated that this presumption can be rebutted. What is rebuttal? Comments. खंडित करणे, खंडन, खंडित नाही. खंडित means to stop. Denial. खंडन करणे, प्राजक्ता. Yes, Pranjal, denial. Deduction. Yes, to disprove in simple words. What example I stated earlier, that if a person is found with the stolen property, to oppose by contrary proof. Yes, to oppose by contrary proof. If the presumption says this and this, you may rebut that presumption, showing that. Now come to effect of migration. How presumption of migration can be rebutted. So it was stated that other party may rebut this presumption and say that even though this family is migrated from Maharashtra to Bengal, however, this family accepted, adopted and followed the custom usage and traditions prevailing in Bengal since last 1 year, 10 years, they have to show. The last year, the marriage between this family took place, and this marriage is performed as per the custom traditions of Bengal. This shows that this family has adopted the custom traditions of Bengal. Therefore, the presumption earlier that they were governed by Mitakshara law or they carried Mitakshara law with them is not applicable here. This concept is called as to rebut the presumptions created by law. Isn't it? Are you getting how presumption attach and how presumption can be rebutted? However, presumption must be rebuttable. Do you understand what presumption is and how, yes, it can be rebutted? So, we discuss the effect of migration on particular family if the family migrate from one area to another, changing the application of school. So with this, we concluded the schools in Hindu law as well as sources and nature application of Hindu law, nature and application of Hindu law, sources of Hindu law and schools of Hindu law. So if you have any problem, you can share it with chat box so far as school sources, nature application is concerned. As I already posted the material of Muslim law in Google Classroom, it is part